His eyes turned red. Not the soft amber glow they had when he looked at me with love. Not the warm gold they sparkled with when he smiled. Red, blood red, the color of death. The ground beneath my feet started shaking. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would break through my chest. The air grew thick and heavy, like something terrible was about to happen. And it was. Because Alpha Kade had just seen me kissing another man. The wolves started howling, hundreds of them, thousands. From every corner of the kingdom, their cries filled the night sky. It wasn't a normal howl. It was a sound of fear, of warning, of something breaking that could never be fixed. Kade stood there, frozen, his massive body trembling. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles twitching. His hands curled into fists and his claws came out, long and sharp and deadly. The man whose lips had just been on mine stepped back slowly, his face white as snow. He knew. Everyone knew. You don't touch the alpha's mate. You don't even look at her for too long. But I had let him kiss me. And now the entire kingdom would pay the price. Kade took one step forward, just one. But the ground cracked beneath his boot. Trees in the distance started swaying even though there was no wind. The temperature dropped so fast I could see my own breath. He opened his mouth, and when he spoke, his voice wasn't human anymore. It was his wolf, dark, dangerous, deadly. Explain. That one word made my blood turn to ice. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. What could I say? How could I make him understand? His red eyes locked onto mine, and I saw something in them that made me want to cry. It wasn't just anger. It was pain, deep, terrible pain. The man next to me tried to run. He made it 3 steps before Kade moved. 1 second Kade was standing far away. The next second, he had the man by the throat, lifting him off the ground like he weighed nothing. Kade, no, I screamed. But he wasn't listening. The alpha was gone. Only the wolf remained. And the wolf wanted blood. Chapter 1. Let me take you back. Back to before everything fell apart. Back to when I still believed love could conquer anything. My name is Emma. Just Emma. Nothing special about me. I'm not royalty. I'm not from a powerful family. I'm just a girl who grew up in the outer villages of the Silvercrest Kingdom, where the houses are small and the winters are cold and everyone knows everyone. I never dreamed I would be the alpha's mate. Nobody dreams that, because being the alpha's mate isn't like the stories. It's not all beautiful dresses and romantic dances under the moon. It's pressure. It's eyes watching you every second. It's knowing that one mistake could start a war. I met Kade 3 months ago at the Harvest Festival. I was selling my mother's honey cakes at a little wooden table, trying to make enough money to help pay for my brother's medicine. He was sick, very sick, and the healers were expensive. I didn't know who Kade was at first. He came to my table wearing simple clothes, no guards, no crown. Just a tall, handsome man with dark hair and the kindest smile I'd ever seen. How much for 2 cakes? He asked. His voice was deep and warm, like summer thunder. 4 copper coins, I said, not looking up. I was shy around strangers, especially handsome ones. He put 8 copper coins on the table. I looked up quickly. That's too much. Then give me 4 cakes, he said, still smiling. I wrapped them carefully in cloth and handed them over. Our fingers touched for just a second and something strange happened. A spark, like lightning but softer. It traveled up my arm and straight to my heart. He felt it too. I could tell by the way his eyes went wide, by the way he froze, by the way his smile slowly faded into something more serious. What's your name? He asked quietly. Emma. Emma, he repeated like he was tasting the word. I'm Kade. I should have known then. Everyone in the kingdom knew the alpha's name. But I was so nervous, so focused on that strange feeling in my chest, that I didn't put it together. He came back the next day, and the next, and the next. Each time he bought more cakes than he needed. Each time he stayed a little longer to talk. He asked about my life, my family, my dreams. He listened like every word I said mattered. On the 4th day, he brought me a flower. a moonflower which only blooms at night. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "For you," he said simply. My heart did something strange. It felt too big for my chest. That's when his guard appeared, a tall man with scars on his face and a sword at his hip. "Alpha, we need to return to the castle. The council is waiting." I dropped the flower. "Alpha." I looked at Kade with my mouth open, unable to speak. He picked up the flower gently and put it back in my hand. "I should have told you sooner," he said. "But I wanted you to know me first. Just me, not the Alpha, not the title, just Kade." I didn't know what to say. The Alpha of Silvercrest Kingdom was standing in front of me, the most powerful wolf in all the lands, the man everyone feared and respected. And he was giving me flowers. "I know this is a lot," he said softly, "and I know you're probably scared, but I need you to know something, Emma. From the moment I touched your hand, my wolf recognized you. You're my mate, my true mate, the one I've been waiting my whole life to find." The world seemed to spin. Mate. That word meant everything in our world. It meant destiny. It meant forever. It meant two souls bound together by the moon goddess herself. "I don't understand," I whispered. "I'm nobody. I'm not from a powerful family. I'm not." "You're everything," he interrupted. "And if you'll have me, I want to spend every day proving that to you." What could I say to that? I said yes. The next 2 months were like a dream. Kade courted me properly, even though the mate bond already connected us. He brought me to the castle, introduced me to his family, gave me beautiful clothes and a room bigger than my entire house. But more than that, he gave me his time, his attention, his heart. We would walk in the forest at night, hand in hand, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about the pressure of being Alpha, about the weight of protecting thousands of lives. I told him about my fears, my insecurities, my worry that I would never be good enough for him. "You're already more than enough," he always said. "You're mine, that's all that matters." The kingdom prepared for our mating ceremony. It would be huge. Every pack for hundreds of miles would attend. There would be a feast, dancing, and under the full moon, we would complete the bond. I was nervous but excited. I loved Kade. I loved him so much it hurt. But then Daniel came back. Daniel was my childhood friend. We grew up together in the outer villages. He was kind and funny and always made me laugh when times were hard. When my father died, Daniel sat with me for 3 days straight, not saying much, just being there. I cared about him, of course I did. But I didn't love him, not the way I loved Kade. Daniel had left the kingdom 2 years ago to train as a warrior in the northern territories. I thought I'd never see him again. But he came back 3 days ago. He came to the castle asking to see me. The guards let him in because he said we were old friends. When I saw him standing in the courtyard, my heart jumped with surprise and happiness. "Daniel," I ran to him and hugged him tight. He hugged me back, but something felt different, stronger, more intense. "I heard the news," he said when we pulled apart. "You're mating with the Alpha." "Yes," I said, smiling. "I know it's strange. I still can't believe it myself." His face looked sad. "Emma, I need to tell you something I should have said before I left." My stomach tightened. "What is it?" "I love you," he said. "I've loved you since we were children. I left because I couldn't stand watching you from a distance, knowing I could never give you the life you deserved. But now I'm back. I'm stronger. I'm a warrior. And I'm asking you to choose me instead." I stepped back, shaking my head. "Daniel, I can't. I'm Kade's mate. The bond." "Bonds can be rejected," he said quickly. "It's rare, but it can be done. Emma, please, I know you feel something for me. I know you care." "I do care," I said, tears filling my eyes. "But I love Kade. I love him with everything I am." Daniel looked at me for a long moment. Then he did something I never expected. He kissed me. His lips pressed against mine before I could stop him. I froze, too shocked to move, too confused to think. That's when I felt it. The air changed. The bond in my chest went cold. I pushed Daniel away and turned around. And there he was. Kade. standing at the top of the castle steps, his eyes locked on us. For one terrible second, everything was silent. Then his eyes turned red. Time moved differently in that moment, too fast and too slow all at once. I watched Kade's eyes shift from their warm amber to that terrifying blood red. I watched his body grow bigger, muscles expanding under his skin. I watched the alpha emerge, wild and uncontrolled. "Kade," I screamed, running toward him. "Wait, it's not what you think." But he wasn't looking at me anymore. His eyes were locked on Daniel. The temperature dropped so fast that frost started forming on the grass. The castle windows rattled. Somewhere in the distance, glass shattered. Kade's voice came out like a growl. "You touched her." Daniel tried to look brave, but I could see his hands shaking. "I love her. I've loved her longer than you've known her." Wrong answer. Kade moved like lightning. One second he was on the steps. The next, his hand was wrapped around Daniel's throat, lifting him off the ground. "Kade, please." I grabbed his arm, trying to pull him back. It was like trying to move a mountain. "Please don't do this." Daniel's face was turning purple. His legs kicked uselessly in the air. "You dare touch what's mine." Kade's voice wasn't human anymore. It was all wolf, dark and deadly. "You dare put your lips on my mate." "Stop," I screamed, tears streaming down my face. "You're going to kill him." "That's the idea," Kade said coldly. Guards came running from every direction. Royal wolves, the strongest warriors in the kingdom. But they all stopped several feet away, their faces filled with fear. Nobody wanted to get between an alpha and his rage. "Alpha Kade," one of them said carefully. "Please, not here, not like this." Kade's grip tightened. Daniel made a choking sound. I did the only thing I could think of. I stepped in front of Kade, putting myself between him and Daniel, and placed both my hands on his face. "Look at me," I whispered. "Please, look at me." For a moment, nothing happened. His red eyes stayed locked on Daniel, burning with fury. "Kade," I said again, softer. "I love you, only you. Please come back to me." Slowly, so slowly, his eyes shifted to my face. The red didn't fade, but something changed. Something softened. "He kissed you," Kade said, and his voice cracked. Not with anger, with pain. My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. "I didn't kiss him back," I said, tears falling faster now. "I swear to you, he kissed me and I froze. I was going to push him away. You have to believe me." I saw his lips on yours. Each word sounded like it was being torn from his chest. "I saw another man touching what belongs to me." "I belong to you," I said firmly. "Only you, the bond is still here." I pressed my hand to his chest, over his heart. "Can't you feel it? I'm yours, I've always been yours." His hand loosened slightly around Daniel's throat. Daniel gasped for air but didn't try to run. He couldn't. Kade would catch him in seconds. "She doesn't love you," Kade said to Daniel, his voice still dangerous. "She loves me. The bond chose me. The moon goddess chose me." "Maybe," Daniel choked out, "but I chose her first." Kade's eyes flashed red again. I felt his body tense, ready to strike. "Kade, if you kill him, you'll regret it," I said quickly. "I know you're angry, I know you're hurt, but killing someone I grew up with, someone I care about, even if I don't love him, that will break something between us. Please, don't make me watch you kill him." The silence stretched on forever. Finally, Kade threw Daniel to the ground like he was nothing. Daniel hit the stone hard and rolled several feet before stopping. "Get him out of my sight," Kade ordered the guards. "Throw him in the dungeon. I'll decide his fate tomorrow when I can think clearly." The guards moved quickly, grabbing Daniel and dragging him away. Daniel looked back at me once, his face bloody and swollen. "Emma, I'm sorry," he called out. I couldn't respond. I was too focused on Kade. He stood there, breathing hard, his whole body shaking. The red in his eyes was fading slowly, being replaced by amber. But the pain was still there, raw and terrible. "Kade," I reached for him. He stepped back, away from me. That hurt worse than anything. "Don't," he said quietly. "Don't touch me right now." "But I need to be alone." He turned and walked toward the forest, his steps heavy and slow. I watched him go, my heart shattering with every step he took away from me. The guards and servants who had gathered quickly scattered, not wanting to be near me. I could feel their judgment. Their whispers would start soon. The alpha's mate, caught kissing another man. The scandal would spread through the kingdom like wildfire. I stood there alone in the courtyard as the sun began to set, feeling more lost than I'd ever felt in my life. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed in my room at the castle, staring out the window at the forest where Kade had disappeared. Part of me wanted to go after him. Part of me knew he needed space. There was a knock at my door around midnight. "Come in," I said, not turning from the window. It was Sarah, Kade's younger sister. She was 17, with the same dark hair as Kade but softer features. We'd become friends over the past 2 months. "I heard what happened," she said quietly, closing the door behind her. I didn't respond. She came to stand next to me at the window. "The whole castle is talking about it." "I know. They're saying terrible things." "I know," I repeated. "Emma, what really happened?" I told her everything. About Daniel coming back, about his confession, about the kiss I didn't want. Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Do you love my brother?" "More than anything," I whispered. "Then you need to fight for him." She put her hand on my shoulder. "Kade's been through a lot, things you don't know about yet, things that make moments like today hurt him even worse than they would hurt a normal person." I turned to look at her. "What things?" She hesitated. "It's not my story to tell, but I will say this, Kade doesn't trust easily. And when that trust is broken, even a little bit, it cuts him deeper than any wound." "I didn't break his trust," I said desperately. "I didn't want that kiss." "I believe you," Sarah said. "But Kade's wolf saw what it saw, and now his wolf is telling him that you might not be faithful, that you might leave him, that you might choose someone else." "That's insane. We're mates." "Yes, but mates can reject each other. It's rare but possible, and that's what Kade's wolf is afraid of now." I felt sick. "What do I do?" I asked. Sarah looked at me with sad eyes. "You wait. You give him time to calm down, and then you remind him why the moon goddess chose you for him." She left soon after, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just stood at the window, watching the forest, hopping to see Kade return. He didn't. The next morning, I was summoned to the council room. I'd never been there before. It was a huge room with stone walls and a long wooden table where the Alpha and his advisors made important decisions. Kade sat at the head of the table. He looked tired. His eyes had dark circles under them, like he hadn't slept either. He was back in his human form completely now, but he wouldn't look at me. Around the table sat the council members. Older wolves, wise and powerful. They all stared at me as I entered. "Sit," one of them said, pointing to a chair far from Kade. I sat, my hands folded in my lap, trying not to shake. "We've brought you here to discuss yesterday's incident," the councilman continued. His name was Marcus, and he'd never liked me. He thought Kade should mate with someone from a powerful family, not a village girl. "You were seen kissing a male who is not your mate. This is a serious offense." "I didn't kiss him," I said, my voice steady even though I was terrified inside. "He kissed me. I didn't want it." "And yet you were in his presence alone," Marcus said. "You allowed him close enough to touch you." "He was my childhood friend. I had no reason to fear him." "Clearly you should have." Marcus leaned forward. "Your actions have brought shame to the Alpha and to this kingdom." "Marcus," Kade's voice cut through the room like a blade. "That's enough." Marcus fell silent, but kept glaring at me. Kade finally looked at me. His eyes were amber again, but cold. So cold. "The male, Daniel, has confessed to kissing you without permission," Kade said. "He will be punished accordingly." "What kind of punishment?" I asked nervously. "Banishment from the kingdom. Permanent." Relief flooded through me. At least he wouldn't die. "However," Kade continued, and his voice got even colder, "there is still the matter of your judgment." My blood went cold. My judgment. You allowed yourself to be alone with another male. You allowed him close enough to touch you. As the alpha's mate, you represent this kingdom. Your actions reflect on me, and on every wolf under my protection. Kade, please. You will not address me so informally in council, he said sharply. Here, I am Alpha. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Alpha Kade, I corrected myself, the words tasting bitter. I made a mistake, but my intentions were innocent. I love you, only you. Love isn't always enough, he said quietly. Those words hit me like a physical blow. The council has suggested, Kade continued, looking away from me again, that we delay the mating ceremony. What? I stood up without thinking. Sit down, Marcus ordered. No, I said, my voice shaking with emotion. You can't do this, we're mates, the bond. The bond can wait, Marcus interrupted, until we're certain you're truly committed to our alpha and to this kingdom. I looked at Kade desperately. Please, don't listen to them, you know what we have, you know what's real. For just a second, I saw something in his eyes. Pain, doubt, longing. But then his face went hard again. The ceremony is delayed, he said, indefinitely. The word, indefinitely, echoed in my head like a death sentence. You're dismissed, Marcus said to me with barely hidden satisfaction. I looked at Kade one more time, begging him silently to change his mind. He looked away. I left the council room with my head held high, refusing to cry in front of them. But the moment I reached my room and closed the door, I collapsed. The sobs came hard and fast, shaking my whole body. I'd lost him, maybe not forever, but I'd lost him for now. And I didn't know if I'd ever get him back. 3 days passed. 3 days of torture. Kade avoided me completely. When I tried to find him in the castle, he was always gone. When I waited in places I knew he'd be, he sent someone else. When I wrote him letters, they came back unopened. It was like I didn't exist to him anymore. The castle staff whispered whenever I walked by. Some looked at me with pity, others with judgment. A few with satisfaction, happy to see the village girl getting what she deserved. I spent most of my time in my room, staring at nothing, feeling the mate bond in my chest pulling and aching. It was still there, connecting me to Kade, but it felt cold now. Distant, like a fire that was slowly dying. Sarah visited me every day, bringing food I couldn't eat and comfort I couldn't accept. He's hurting too, she told me on the 3rd day. I saw him yesterday. He looks terrible, Emma. He's not sleeping. He's barely eating. The bond is hurting him just as much as it's hurting you. Then why won't he talk to me? I whispered. Because he's scared, Sarah said. I told you he doesn't trust easily, and right now his wolf is at war with his heart. His heart knows you didn't betray him, but his wolf saw what it saw and it's screaming at him that you might do it again. I would never. I know, but you have to prove it, not with words, with actions. How? I felt helpless. He won't even look at me. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she said, the full moon gathering is tonight. I'd forgotten about that. The full moon gathering happened once a month. Every wolf in the kingdom came together to celebrate, to hunt, to run under the moon as their true selves. It was sacred, important. And as the alpha's mate, even though our ceremony was delayed, I was expected to attend. He'll be there, Sarah continued. He has to be. It's his duty as alpha to lead the gathering. So you'll be there too. And maybe, under the moon, with the pack watching, you can remind him of what you have together. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was something. Okay, I said, wiping my tears. I'll go. Sarah smiled. Good, now let me help you get ready. You need to look like the Luna you're meant to be. That evening, Sarah brought me a dress. It was beautiful, silver like moonlight, flowing and soft. She helped me put it on, then braided my hair with small white flowers. You look like a true Luna, she said, stepping back to admire her work. I looked at myself in the mirror. I did look different, stronger, more confident than I felt. Remember, Sarah said as we prepared to leave, you belong there. Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't. The gathering was held in a massive clearing deep in the forest. By the time we arrived, hundreds of wolves were already there, some in human form, some already shifted. The air was electric with energy and excitement. At the center of the clearing, on a raised platform of stone, stood Kade. My breath caught. He was magnificent. He wore traditional alpha clothing, dark leather and furs that showed his strength. His dark hair was loose around his shoulders. Even from a distance, I could feel his power radiating outward. He was talking to some of the pack leaders, his face serious and focused. Then he looked up and saw me. Our eyes met across the clearing. Everything else disappeared. The crowd, the noise, all of it faded away until it was just him and me and the bond between us pulling tight. I saw his jaw clench, saw his hands curl into fists. But he didn't look away. I started walking toward him, my heart pounding. People moved aside to let me pass, their whispers following me like ghosts. That's her. The one who kissed another male. Poor Alpha. She doesn't deserve him. I kept my head high and kept walking. When I reached the platform, Kade's beta, a strong wolf named Lucas, stepped in front of me. The Alpha is busy, Lucas said quietly. I'm his mate, I said firmly. I belong at his side. Lucas glanced back at Kade uncertainly. Let her through, Kade's voice carried across the platform. Lucas stepped aside. I climbed the stone steps and stood next to Kade, my hands trembling slightly. You came, Kade said, not looking at me. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might prefer to avoid the gossip. His words stung. I don't care what they say, I care about you. Finally, he turned to face me. His amber eyes were filled with so many emotions I couldn't name them all. Pain, anger, longing, fear. Do you have any idea what these past 3 days have been like? He asked quietly, his voice rough. Yes, I whispered, because I've lived them too. My wolf wants to lock you away where no other male can ever look at you. My heart wants to pull you close and never let go. And my mind keeps replaying that image over and over, his lips on yours. Tears filled my eyes. Kade. I don't know how to get past it, he admitted, and hearing him sound so broken destroyed me. I don't know how to make it stop hurting. Let me help you. I reached for his hand. He pulled back slightly, but then stopped himself. Slowly, so slowly, he let me take his hand in mine. The moment our skin touched, the bond flared to life, warm and bright and right. Kade closed his eyes, and I saw a single tear slide down his cheek. I missed you, he whispered. I missed you too, I said, so much. Around us, the crowd had grown quiet. Everyone was watching, waiting to see what the Alpha would do. Kade opened his eyes and looked at me. I'm sorry for shutting you out, for not listening, for letting my fear control me. I'm sorry too, I said, for not being more careful, for putting you through this pain. He raised his hand slowly and touched my face, his thumb wiping away my tears. Don't cry, he said softly. When you cry, it kills me. Then don't leave me again, I said. Whatever happens, we face it together. He pulled me close, wrapping his arms around me tight. I buried my face in his chest, breathing him in, feeling whole again for the first time in days. The crowd erupted in cheers and howls. Kade held me for a long moment, then pulled back slightly to look down at me. I love you, Emma, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. You are my mate, my Luna, my everything, and nothing will ever change that. More cheers, more howls. He kissed me then, soft and gentle at first, then deeper, claiming me in front of everyone, showing the entire kingdom that I was his and he was mine. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. We still have things to work through, he said quietly. Trust isn't rebuilt in a day. I know, I said, but we'll rebuild it together. He nodded, together. The gathering began officially then. Kade led the pack in the traditional ceremonies. We honored the moon goddess. We celebrated the hunt. And when the moon reached its peak in the sky, everyone shifted. I'd seen Kade's wolf form before, but it never stopped being breathtaking. He was massive, twice the size of a normal wolf, with black fur and those same amber eyes that glowed in the darkness. I shifted too. My wolf was smaller, with brown fur and green eyes. Not as impressive as Kade's, but still strong in her own way. Kade's wolf approached mine slowly. He circled me once, then nuzzled against my neck. My wolf responded, pressing close to him, feeling safe and protected. Then we ran. The entire pack ran together through the forest, under the full moon, wild and free. Kade led the way and I stayed at his side. His Luna, his mate. For those few hours, everything was perfect. But as the moon began to set and the pack started returning to the clearing, something changed. I felt it before I saw it. A disturbance in the air, a warning prickling down my spine. Kade felt it too. His wolf stopped running and turned, ears pointed, body tense. Then we heard it. A howl, but not from our pack. This howl was different, aggressive, challenging. Foreign wolves had entered our territory. Kade shifted back to human form instantly. So did I. Everyone back to the clearing, he ordered. Now. The pack obeyed immediately, running back the way we came. But before we could follow, they appeared. 5 wolves, large and scarred, warriors from another pack. And leading them was someone I recognized. A male I'd seen before at pack gatherings. His name was Drake. He was the son of Alpha Riker from the Blood Moon Pack, our rivals. Drake shifted to human form and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Alpha Kade, he said mockingly. So nice to see you again. You're trespassing, Kade said coldly. Leave now or face the consequences. Oh, I don't think so. Drake looked around casually. You see, my father sent me to deliver a message. What message? Drake's eyes slid to me. His smile grew wider. The message is about her. My blood went cold. Kade stepped in front of me protectively. Choose your next words very carefully. Word has spread about your little incident, Drake continued. The whole region knows the great Alpha Kade's mate was caught kissing another male. How embarrassing for you. Kade's body started shaking. The shift was coming. My father thinks, Drake went on, enjoying himself, that if you can't even control your own mate, maybe you're not strong enough to lead the Silvercrest pack anymore. Is that a challenge? Kade asked, his voice deadly quiet. Not yet, Drake shrugged. Consider it a warning. Your weakness is showing, Alpha, and weak alphas don't last long. Kade moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second Drake was standing there talking. The next, Kade had him pinned against a tree by his throat. Tell your father, Kade growled, that if he wants to challenge me, he should come himself instead of sending his pup. Drake's warriors moved forward, but Kade's beta and several of our strongest wolves appeared from the trees, surrounding them. Leave, Kade ordered, before I forget the laws of pack diplomacy and rip out your throat. Drake laughed even with Kade's hand crushing his windpipe. This isn't over. You've shown weakness, and weakness gets exploited. Kade threw him to the ground. Drake stood slowly, still smiling, and shifted back to his wolf form. His warriors did the same. See you soon, Alpha, Drake said through the mind link that all wolves could hear. And you too, Luna. I look forward to meeting you properly when your mate is too dead to protect you. Then they were gone, disappearing into the trees. The silence that followed was terrible. Kade turned to me, his face dark with fury and something else. Fear. This is worse than I thought, he said quietly. What do you mean? The other packs are watching, waiting. That incident with Daniel didn't just hurt us personally, Emma. It made me look weak to our enemies, and weak alphas get challenged. Weak alphas get killed, and their packs get absorbed or destroyed. Horror washed over me. No, this is my fault. I brought this on you. Stop, Kade grabbed my shoulders. This isn't your fault, it's mine. I should have handled things differently. I should have been stronger. What do we do? I asked, terrified. Kade looked at me with determination burning in his eyes. We show them exactly how strong we are, he said, together. But even as he said it, I could see the worry in his eyes. Because he knew what I knew. A war was coming. And it was coming for us. The castle was different when we returned that night. Guards everywhere, weapons being sharpened, warriors training even in the darkness. The whole kingdom had shifted into a state of alertness. War wasn't just coming. It was already here, breathing down our necks. Kade called an emergency council, meeting the moment we arrived. This time, I wasn't summoned. I was expected, because what happened next would affect me just as much as everyone else. I sat in the council room, feeling the weight of every stare, but I didn't shrink away. I couldn't, not anymore. The Blood Moon Pack is preparing to challenge us, Kade said, standing at the head of the table. Drake's appearance tonight wasn't random. It was a test. They wanted to see how we'd react. And how did we react? Marcus asked, his tone suggesting he already knew the answer and didn't like it. We showed strength, Lucas, the beta, said firmly. The alpha defended his territory and his mate. His mate, Marcus repeated, his eyes sliding to me. The very reason we're in this position. Careful, Marcus. Kade's voice dropped dangerously low. You're speaking about your future, Luna. Am I? Marcus leaned forward. The mating ceremony has been delayed indefinitely. Perhaps it's time to consider other options. The room went deadly silent. I felt like I'd been stabbed. What other options? Sarah asked sharply. She'd insisted on attending the meeting despite being younger than most council members. Marcus didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on Kade. An alliance marriage with a daughter from one of the stronger packs. It would show unity, strength. It would stop this challenge before it begins. No, Kade's voice was absolute. Alpha, please think rationally. I said no. Kade slammed his hand on the table. The wood cracked under the force. Emma is my mate. The moon goddess herself chose us. I will not abandon her because some rival pack is testing us. Even if it means war, another council member asked quietly. Especially if it means war, Kade said. Because if I give in to their pressure now, I'll be giving in for the rest of my rule. I won't show weakness by casting aside my mate. That would be the greatest weakness of all. Pride and love swelled in my chest. Marcus shook his head. You're making a mistake. Then it's my mistake to make, Kade said. Now let's focus on what matters. How do we prepare for this challenge? The council spent the next 2 hours discussing strategy, alliances with other packs, training schedules, supply lines, emergency protocols. I listened to it all, my stomach twisting tighter with each word. This was really happening. People were going to fight. People were going to die. Because of me. When the meeting finally ended, everyone filed out except Kade and me. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything pressing down on us. You defended me, I said softly, in front of everyone. Of course I did. Kade looked at me exhausted. You're mine, Emma. Nothing changes that. Even if it costs you your kingdom. Even then, he reached across the table and took my hand. But it won't. We're going to fight, and we're going to win. How can you be so sure? Because I have something worth fighting for. His thumb traced circles on my palm. You. I wanted to believe him, but the fear wouldn't go away. Kade, maybe Marcus is right. Maybe if I just... Don't. He squeezed my hand. Don't even finish that thought. I know what you're going to say, and the answer is no. You're not leaving. You're not stepping aside. We're in this together, remember. Together, I whispered, but my voice shook. Kade stood and pulled me to my feet, then wrapped me in his arms. I won't lose you, he said into my hair. I won't. I held him tight, wishing I could believe that love was enough. But I was starting to learn that, in the world of wolves, love was sometimes the most dangerous thing of all. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Kade trained with his warriors from dawn until dusk. I barely saw him except at night, when he'd collapse into bed beside me, too exhausted to even speak. The castle prepared for war. Weapons, supplies, plans. And I I did the only thing I could do. I helped where I was needed. I worked with the healers, learning how to treat wounds. I helped organize supplies. I spent time with the children, trying to keep them calm even though I was terrified inside. But mostly, I waited. Waited for the challenge that was coming. It arrived on the 16th day. A messenger from the Blood Moon Pack rode up to the castle at noon. He carried a formal challenge scroll sealed with blood-red wax. Kade opened it in front of the entire court. His face went hard as stone as he read. "What does it say?" I asked, standing beside him. Kade's jaw clenched. "Alpha Riker challenges my right to rule. The challenge will take place at the Blood Moon, 3 nights from now. If I win, his pack backs down. If I lose..." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. If he lost, he would die, and the Blood Moon Pack would absorb our kingdom. "Can you beat him?" Sarah asked, her face pale. "Riker is strong," Lucas said quietly. "One of the oldest and most experienced alphas in the region." "But Kade is stronger," I said firmly, even though terror gripped my heart. Kade looked at me, and I saw doubt flash in his eyes. Just for a second, but I saw it. That scared me more than anything. That night, I found Kade alone on the castle balcony, staring out at the forest. "You should be sleeping," I said, coming to stand beside him. "Can't sleep. You need your strength." "I know." He was quiet for a moment. "Emma, there's something I need to tell you." My heart sank. Nothing good ever started with those words. "What is it?" He turned to face me, and in the moonlight, he looked vulnerable. More vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. "If I lose..." "You won't," I interrupted. "If I lose," he continued firmly, "Lucas will become Alpha. He's strong. He'll protect the pack. But you'll be in danger." "What kind of danger?" "Riker will want to claim you." The words hit me like ice water. "Claim me, but I'm your mate, the bond." "Can be broken if one mate dies," Kade said, his voice cracking. "And then you'd be free for another Alpha to claim." Horror washed through me. No, I would never." "You might not have a choice." Kade cupped my face in his hands. "Riker is cruel, Emma. If he wins, he won't just take the kingdom. He'll take everything I love, including you." Tears streamed down my face. "Then don't lose." "I'll do everything in my power not to." He pressed his forehead against mine. "But if something happens to me, I need you to promise me something." "Anything." "Run. Don't let him take you. Don't let him touch you. Get as far from here as you can and don't look back." "Kade, I can't just leave." "Promise me," he said desperately. "Please, I can face death, but I can't face the thought of you suffering because of me." I was sobbing now, unable to stop. "I promise, but only if you promise to fight with everything you have. Promise you'll come back to me." "I promise," he whispered. Then he kissed me. It was different from all our other kisses. Desperate, passionate, like he was trying to memorize the feel of me, like he was saying goodbye. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he held me close. "I love you," he said. "More than my kingdom, more than my power, more than my own life." "I love you too," I whispered. "Come back to me, Kade. Please come back to me." We stayed like that for hours, holding each other under the stars, neither of us wanting to let go. Because we both knew that in 3 days, everything might end. The day before the challenge, something unexpected happened. Daniel sent word from his banishment. The guards brought me a letter. It was short and written in Daniel's messy handwriting. "Emma, I've heard about the challenge. I heard what my actions caused. I need you to know I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I just loved you. But that's not an excuse. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I owe Alpha Kade that much. I owe you that much. I'm sorry. Daniel." I stared at the letter for a long time. Part of me was still angry at him. His kiss had started all of this. But part of me understood. He'd loved me. Love made people do stupid things. I knew that better than anyone. I showed the letter to Kade. He read it without expression, then handed it back. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "What do you mean? Do you want to forgive him?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "I think I already have," I said quietly. "What he did was wrong, but holding on to anger won't change anything. And right now, we need to focus on what matters." Kade pulled me close. "You have a good heart, Emma, too good for this world sometimes." "Is that a bad thing?" "No," he kissed my forehead. "It's one of the reasons I love you." The night before the challenge, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Kade, watching him breathe, memorizing every detail of his face. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either we'd win, and our life together could finally begin. Or we'd lose, and I'd lose everything. Around midnight, Kade's eyes opened. He'd been awake too. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. "No." He turned on his side to face me. "Talk to me. Tell me something, anything." "Like what?" "Tell me about your dreams, about what you want for our future." My throat tightened. "You really want to talk about this now?" "Especially now." I took a shaky breath. "I want a home, not a castle. Just a small house somewhere quiet where we can be together. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep in your arms every night. I want children someday, little wolves running around, getting into trouble." My voice cracked. "I want a normal, boring, beautiful life with you." Kade smiled sadly. "That sounds perfect." "What do you want?" I asked. "The same thing." He traced his finger along my jaw. "I want to give you everything. I want to make you happy. I want to grow old with you." His voice dropped to a whisper. "I want forever." "Then fight for it," I said fiercely. "Fight for us, fight for forever." "I will." He pulled me against him. "I promise you, Emma, I will fight with everything I have." We held each other through the night, neither of us sleeping, both of us knowing that tomorrow, our entire world would be decided by one battle. As dawn began to break through the window, Kade kissed me one more time. "Whatever happens today," he said, "know that you were the best thing that ever happened to me." "Don't talk like that," I begged. "Don't talk like you're saying goodbye." "I'm not." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm just making sure you know." Then he got up, got dressed, and prepared to fight for his life. And I prepared to watch, knowing that if he fell, my world would fall with him. The challenge ground was in the old forest, in a clearing that had been used for blood duels for hundreds of years. The earth there was dark, stained from generations of battles. By the time the sun reached its peak, thousands of wolves had gathered, not just from our kingdom, but from packs all across the region. Challenges like this were rare, historic. Everyone wanted to witness it. I stood at the edge of the clearing with Sarah and Lucas. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. "He's going to win," Sarah said, squeezing my hand. "He has to." But her voice trembled too. On the opposite side of the clearing stood Alpha Riker and his pack. The Blood Moon wolves were massive, battle-scarred, and terrifying. They looked like they'd been born for war. And at the center of them, all stood Riker himself. He was huge, even bigger than Kade. His hair was gray at the temples, and his face was covered in old scars. He looked like death itself. My heart sank. "He's so big," I whispered. "Size isn't everything," Lucas said, but he looked worried too. A neutral pack elder stepped into the center of the clearing. His job was to oversee the challenge and make sure the ancient laws were followed. "We are gathered here under the full light of day to witness a challenge of leadership," the elder announced, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. "Alpha Kade of Silvercrest has been challenged by Alpha Riker of Bloodmoon. The challenge is to the death. The winner claims leadership of both packs. There will be no interference. The moon goddess will decide who is worthy." To the death. Those words echoed in my head. To the death. Kade stepped forward from our side. He wore simple fighting clothes, no armor, no weapons. This would be a wolf fight, primal, raw. He looked strong, powerful, every inch an alpha. But was he strong enough? Riker stepped forward too, a cruel smile on his face. "I'm going to enjoy this, pup," Riker said loud enough for everyone to hear. And when I'm done with you, I'm going to enjoy claiming your pretty little mate. Rage flashed across Kade's face. You won't touch her. We'll see, Riker laughed. The elder raised his hand. The challenge begins, now. Both alphas shifted immediately. Kade's black wolf was magnificent, huge and powerful with glowing amber eyes. But Riker's wolf was a nightmare, gray and scarred, with eyes like blood and teeth like daggers. They circled each other slowly, both looking for an opening. Then Riker attacked. He moved faster than something his size should be able to move. He lunged at Kade's throat, jaws snapping. Kade dodged, barely. He countered with a swipe of his claws, catching Riker's shoulder. First blood. The crowd erupted in howls and shouts. Riker snarled and attacked again. This time he caught Kade's leg, his teeth sinking deep. I screamed. Kade yelped in pain but didn't go down. He twisted and bit down on Riker's neck, shaking hard. Riker pulled away, leaving fur and blood in Kade's mouth. They separated, both breathing hard, both bleeding. Come on, Kade, I whispered desperately. Please. They crashed together again. The sound of it was terrible, snarling, snapping, the crunch of teeth on bone. Kade was fast and smart. He used his speed to avoid Riker's heavier attacks, striking quickly and dodging away. But Riker was experienced. He'd fought hundreds of battles. He knew every trick, every move. And slowly, he was wearing Kade down. A slash across Kade's ribs, a bite to his back leg, another to his shoulder. Blood matted Kade's black fur, making it shine dark red in the sunlight. He's losing, someone in the crowd whispered. No, I said firmly. No, he's not. But fear gripped my heart. Kade was tiring. I could see it in the way he moved, slower now, more defensive. Riker saw it too. His attacks got more aggressive, more confident. He was going in for the kill. Riker lunged forward with a roar, going for Kade's throat. Kade tried to dodge, but he was too slow. Riker's jaws closed around Kade's neck. No, I screamed. Time stopped. Kade was on the ground, Riker on top of him, teeth at his throat. One bite. That's all it would take. One bite and it would be over. The crowd went silent. Riker looked up at me across the clearing. Even in wolf form, I could see the cruelty in his eyes, the promise of what he would do when Kade was dead. Something inside me broke. Without thinking, without planning, I ran. Emma, no, Sarah screamed behind me. But I didn't stop. I ran straight into the clearing, straight toward the fighting alphas. Stop, I screamed. Please stop. The elder tried to grab me. You cannot interfere, it's forbidden. I dodged him and kept running. Riker's wolf turned to look at me, confused. His grip on Kade's throat loosened just slightly. It was enough. Kade twisted with the last of his strength and threw Riker off. They both stumbled to their feet, bleeding and exhausted. I reached Kade and threw myself between him and Riker. Emma, move. Kade's voice came through the pack mind link, desperate and angry. No, I said out loud, my voice shaking but determined. I won't let him kill you. The entire clearing erupted in chaos. She's interfered. The challenge is void. She's broken the sacred laws. Riker shifted back to human form, blood streaming from multiple wounds. But he was smiling. Well, well, he said. Looks like your little mate just cost you everything, Kade. Kade shifted too, naked and covered in blood. He tried to pull me behind him, but I wouldn't move. I don't care about the laws, I said, tears streaming down my face. I don't care about tradition. I won't stand here and watch him die. You stupid girl, Riker laughed. You've just handed me the victory. The challenge was interfered with. By ancient law, that means Kade automatically forfeits. Horror washed through me. What had I done? The elder approached, his face grave. The female speaks truth unknowingly. By interfering in a death challenge, she has caused Alpha Kade to forfeit. The kingdom of Silvercrest now belongs to Alpha Riker. No, Kade said desperately. No, she didn't understand. She was just trying to save me. Please let us continue the fight. The law is absolute, the elder said. I'm sorry, Alpha Kade, or should I say former Alpha Kade. The Blood Moon wolves howled in victory. Our wolves howled in despair. I had just destroyed everything. Kade looked at me and I saw something break in his eyes. Not anger, worse than anger. Defeat. What have you done? He whispered. I'm sorry, I sobbed. I'm so sorry, I just couldn't let you die, I couldn't. You should have, he said, his voice hollow. Death would have been better than this. Riker approached us, still smiling that cruel smile. So, former Alpha Kade, how does it feel to lose everything? Kade said nothing. He just stared at the ground, broken. And you? Riker turned to me. The mate who loves too much. Don't worry, little one. I'll take good care of you once your bond to him is severed. You can't sever a mate bond, I said desperately. Can't I? Riker's smile grew wider. There are ways, painful ways, but effective. He stepped closer to me. Kade tried to move between us, but Riker's warriors grabbed him, holding him back. Let me tell you what's going to happen, Riker said, his face inches from mine. I'm going to take your kingdom. I'm going to destroy everything Kade built. And then I'm going to make you mine, and he's going to watch all of it, every single moment. Please, I begged, please don't do this. You should have thought of that before you interfered. Riker grabbed my chin roughly. You're mine now. She's mine, Kade roared, struggling against the wolves holding him. The bond still exists. You can't just take her. Watch me. Riker pulled me against him. I struggled, hitting and kicking, but he was too strong. The mate bond in my chest screamed. It felt like my soul was being ripped in half. Kade's anguished howl echoed across the clearing. And then something happened that no one expected. A new voice rang out across the clearing. Stop. Everyone turned. Standing at the edge of the clearing, surrounded by warriors, was someone I never thought I'd see again. Daniel. And he wasn't alone. Behind him stood hundreds of wolves. Massive, scarred, battle-hardened warriors from the Northern Territories where he'd been training. Release her, Daniel commanded, his voice filled with authority I'd never heard before. And step away from Alpha Kade, now. Riker's smile faded. Who are you to give me orders, pup? I'm the wolf who's about to make you regret ever coming here, Daniel said coldly. He stepped forward and I saw something different in him. He was bigger now, stronger. His eyes glowed with power. My name is Daniel Frost, he announced. Son of Alpha Marcus Frost of the Northern Territories, and I've come to defend Silvercrest Kingdom. Shock rippled through the crowd. Daniel was an Alpha's son. I never knew. He'd never told me. Under pack law, Daniel continued, any kingdom can call for aid from allied packs during a challenge dispute. I'm invoking that right on behalf of former Alpha Kade. The elder stepped forward, considering. The challenge has already been decided. Through interference, Daniel interrupted, which can be disputed if another Alpha is willing to fight in defense of the accused. I'm volunteering to be that Alpha. Riker's face darkened. You think you can beat me, boy? I know I can, Daniel's eyes blazed. Because I'm not fighting for a kingdom. I'm fighting for the woman I love and the Alpha I wronged. And that makes me more dangerous than you could ever imagine. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it might explode. Daniel looked at me then, and I saw everything in his eyes. Love, regret, determination. I'm sorry, Emma, he said. For everything, let me make it right. Daniel, you don't have to do this, I said, tears streaming down my face. Yes, I do. He turned back to Riker. So what will it be? Will you accept my challenge? Or will you admit you're too afraid to fight someone who actually wants to fight back? Riker's face twisted with rage. Fine, he snarled. I'll kill you too, and then I'll take everything. The elder raised his hand again. A new challenge has been issued. Daniel Frost versus Alpha Riker. To the death. The winner claims all. Daniel shifted. His wolf was huge, silver and white with ice blue eyes. Beautiful and terrifying. Riker shifted too. They faced each other across the bloodstained ground. And as the elder dropped his hand to signal the start of the fight, I realized something. No matter who won, someone I cared about was going to die. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. The fight began with an explosion of violence. Daniel moved like a storm, fast, precise, deadly. He was nothing like the gentle boy I'd grown up with. This was a warrior, an alpha's son trained by the harshest masters in the Northern Territories. Riker attacked with the confidence of someone who'd never lost a fight. But Daniel didn't back down. They collided in the center of the clearing, and the sound echoed like thunder. Fur flew, blood sprayed. The ground shook beneath their weight. Daniel was faster than Riker. He darted in and out, landing quick, brutal strikes before dancing away. His claws raked across Riker's side, drawing deep red lines. Riker roared in fury and lunged, but Daniel was already gone, attacking from a different angle. The Northern training was showing. Daniel fought like someone who'd spent years learning to survive against impossible odds. But Riker was still experienced, still deadly. He caught Daniel with a vicious bite to the shoulder. Daniel yelped but twisted, using the momentum to flip Riker over his back. They separated, both bleeding, both breathing hard. "Come on, Daniel," I whispered desperately. Beside me, Kade had gone completely still. His eyes were locked on the fight, his face unreadable. The warriors who'd been holding him had let go. There was no point now. The challenge was no longer his. "He's fighting well," Lucas said quietly, watching Daniel with respect. "Better than well. He's fighting like someone who has nothing to lose." "Because he doesn't," Sarah whispered. "Look at his eyes." She was right. Daniel's ice-blue eyes held something final, resolved. He wasn't just fighting to win. He was fighting to atone. Even if it cost him everything. Riker charged again, trying to use his size to overpower Daniel. But Daniel dropped low, sliding under Riker's massive body and slashing upward with his claws. Riker howled in pain. Blood poured from the wound in his belly. For the first time, fear flickered across Riker's face. He was losing. The Blood Moon wolves began to howl, not in victory, but in desperation. They could see what was happening. Their alpha was being beaten by a younger, faster wolf. Daniel pressed his advantage. He attacked relentlessly, giving Riker no time to recover, no time to think. Slash, bite, dodge, attack again. It was beautiful and terrible to watch. Riker was stumbling now, weakened by blood loss. His movements were slower, clumsier. Daniel circled him like death itself. Then, with a move so fast I almost missed it, Daniel lunged for Riker's throat. His jaws closed around the vital point. One bite, that's all it would take. The clearing went silent. Everyone held their breath. Daniel's teeth were positioned perfectly. One movement and Riker would be dead. But Daniel paused. He held Riker there, at the edge of death, and his eyes found mine across the clearing. Even in wolf form, I could read the question in them. Should he kill him? Should he end this? Part of me wanted to scream yes. Riker was cruel and evil, and he'd threatened to destroy everything I loved. But another part of me, the part that remembered the kind boy Daniel used to be, didn't want him to have that blood on his hands. I didn't know what to say. Before I could respond, Kade stepped forward. "Finish it," Kade said, his voice carrying across the clearing. "He would have shown us no mercy. He deserves none." Daniel's eyes shifted to Kade, then back to Riker, then to me again. Time stretched impossibly long. Then, slowly, Daniel opened his jaws. He released Riker and stepped back. Gasps echoed across the crowd. Daniel shifted back to human form, standing over Riker's bleeding wolf body. "I yield the killing blow," Daniel announced. "By law, Alpha Kade should be the one to decide Riker's fate. This is his kingdom, his fight. I was merely standing in his place." The elder looked confused. "That's highly irregular." "But not forbidden," Daniel said. "Check the ancient laws. A champion can yield the final strike to the alpha they're defending if they choose. The elder considered, then nodded slowly. He speaks truth. The law allows it. All eyes turned to Kade. He walked forward slowly, his bare feet leaving prints in the bloody earth. When he reached Riker's fallen form, he stared down at his enemy for a long moment. Riker shifted back to human, gasping and clutching his wounds. "Just kill me," Riker spat. "Get it over with." "No," Kade said simply. Riker blinked in surprise. So did everyone else. "You came here to take my kingdom," Kade continued. "You threatened my mate. You insulted my leadership. You wanted to destroy everything I've built." "Yes," Riker said, hatred burning in his eyes. "And I'd do it again." "I know," Kade crouched down beside him. "Which is why you're going to live." "What?" "You're going to live," Kade repeated. "And you're going to go back to your pack and tell them what happened here. You're going to tell them that when you were defeated, when you were at my mercy, I chose to spare you." Understanding dawned on Riker's face, followed by humiliation. "You're making me look weak," Riker said. "No," Kade corrected. "I'm making you look beaten. There's a difference. Your pack will know that I could have killed you and chose mercy instead. That's not weakness. That's power. And it's a reminder of what happens when anyone threatens my kingdom." Kade stood and addressed the crowd. "Let this be a message to all packs in all territories," he said, his voice ringing with authority. "Silvercrest is not weak. We do not fear challenges, but we also do not need to prove ourselves through unnecessary bloodshed. Any alpha who wishes to challenge me in the future, know this, I will fight to protect what's mine. But I will also show mercy to the defeated. That is the kind of alpha I am. That is the kind of kingdom we are." The Silvercrest wolves howled in approval. Even some of the other packs joined in, impressed by Kade's display of controlled strength. Riker was lifted by his warriors and carried away, humiliated but alive. The challenge was over. Kade had won. But as the crowd began to disperse, I realized something important. Daniel had saved us. The boy I'd known, the friend who'd kissed me and started all this chaos, had risked his life to make things right. And now he stood alone at the edge of the clearing, bleeding and exhausted, watching me with sad eyes. I pulled away from Sarah and ran to him. "Daniel," I said, tears streaming down my face. He smiled weakly. "Hey. You could have died. Why would you do that?" "Because I owed you," he said simply. "I owed both of you. My kiss caused this mess. It was only right that I helped fix it." "But you could have died," I repeated, my voice breaking. "Would have been worth it." He reached out and touched my face gently. "To know you were safe, to know you were happy, that would have been worth anything." "Daniel." "I love you, Emma," he interrupted. "I always will, but I know you love him. I can see it every time you look at Kade, and that's okay. Your happiness is more important than my feelings." I was crying so hard I could barely speak. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I can't." "Don't apologize," he said softly. "Love isn't something you can control. Believe me, I've tried." He pulled me into a hug. I held him tight, this boy who'd been my friend, who'd loved me, who'd nearly died for me. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you for saving us." "You're welcome." He pulled back and looked down at me with those ice-blue eyes. "Be happy, Emma. That's all I ask." Then he stepped back. Kade approached slowly. The two men stared at each other for a long moment. "You saved my kingdom," Kade said finally. "You saved my mate. I owe you a debt I can never repay." "You owe me nothing," Daniel replied. "But I do have one request." "Name it." "Lift my banishment." Daniel looked at me, then back at Kade. "Not so I can stay here. I can't watch her be with you every day. It would kill me slowly. But lift it so that I can return to visit sometimes, so that I can know she's okay." Kade considered for a moment, then nodded. "Done. Your banishment is lifted. You're welcome in Silvercrest Kingdom whenever you wish, as an honored guest and ally." Daniel smiled. "Thank you." He turned to leave, but I grabbed his arm. "Where will you go?" I asked. "Back to the Northern Territories," he said. My father wants me to lead one of our border packs. It's time I stopped running from responsibility and became the alpha I'm meant to be. Will you be happy there? Eventually, he said. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but eventually I'll heal. And maybe I'll find someone who looks at me the way you look at Kade. You will, I said firmly. You're a good man, Daniel. Any woman would be lucky to have you. He laughed softly. Just not you. Just not me, I agreed, my heart aching. But I'll always care about you, always. I know, he kissed my forehead gently, one last time. Goodbye, Emma. Goodbye, Daniel. I watched him walk away, his silver wolves following behind him, until he disappeared into the trees. When he was gone, Kade wrapped his arms around me from behind. Are you okay? He asked. I think so, I said, leaning back against him. It hurts, saying goodbye, but it's the right thing. He loved you. I know. And you loved him, in a way. I turned to face Kade. Not the way I love you, never the way I love you. He was a friend, a good friend, but you're my mate, my everything. There's no comparison. Kade cupped my face in his hands. I almost lost you today. When Riker grabbed you, when he said those things, I've never felt terror like that in my life. But you didn't lose me, I said. I'm right here. I'm always going to be right here. Promise. I promise. I stood on my toes and kissed him, soft and sweet and full of love. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Let's go home, he said. Let's finally have our mating ceremony. Let's start the life we should have started months ago. Yes, I whispered. Let's do that. Hand in hand, we walked back toward the castle. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Behind us, our pack followed, howling in celebration. The challenge was over. The kingdom was safe. And finally, we could begin forever. But as we reached the castle gates, something made me pause. A feeling, a whisper of warning. I looked back at the forest, at the darkness gathering beneath the trees. And for just a moment, I could have sworn I saw eyes watching us. Red eyes. Not Kade's eyes, someone else's. Something else's. Then they were gone. What's wrong? Kade asked, noticing I'd stopped. Nothing, I said, shaking off the feeling. Just my imagination. But as we entered the castle and the gates closed behind us, I couldn't shake the sense that something was coming. Something worse than Riker. Something that would test us in ways we couldn't even imagine. The peace we'd won today was temporary. I didn't know how I knew. But I knew. The real battle was still coming. The mating ceremony was planned for 3 days later, under the next full moon. Those 3 days should have been the happiest of my life. The kingdom was safe. Kade and I were together. Everything I'd dreamed of was finally coming true. But I couldn't shake that feeling. Those red eyes in the forest, the sense of something watching, waiting. I didn't tell Kade. He was so happy, so relieved. I didn't want to ruin it with my paranoia. Maybe it really was just my imagination. The castle buzzed with preparations. Flowers were gathered from every corner of the kingdom. The great hall was decorated with silver and white. Hundreds of wolves would attend, not just from our pack, but from allied territories who wanted to celebrate with us. Sarah helped me prepare, chattering excitedly about the ceremony. You're going to be the most beautiful Luna anyone has ever seen, she said, holding up different dresses for me to choose from. Kade won't be able to take his eyes off you. I tried to smile, to match her enthusiasm, but the unease in my chest wouldn't go away. Emma, Sarah set down the dresses and looked at me with concern. What's wrong? You should be happy. I am happy, I said quickly. I'm just nervous, I guess. About the ceremony. About everything. I sat down on the bed, my hands twisting in my lap. So much has happened. The challenge, Daniel Riker, it feels like it all happened too fast, like we're rushing toward something. Sarah sat beside me. You love Kade, don't you? More than anything. And he loves you. That's all that matters. The rest is just noise. I wanted to believe her. I really did. That night, I lay in bed with Kade, listening to his heartbeat, trying to calm my racing thoughts. 2 more days, Kade murmured, his fingers tracing patterns on my arm. And then you'll be mine forever, officially, completely. I'm already yours, I said. I know, but there's something about the ceremony, about standing in front of the moon goddess and the entire pack and declaring our bond. It makes it real in a way nothing else can. Are you nervous? I asked. Terrified, he admitted with a laugh. What if I mess up the words? What if I trip walking to the altar? What if? I kissed him to stop his rambling. When I pulled back, he was smiling. We'll be fine, I said. We've survived everything else. We can survive a ceremony. Together, he said. Together, I agreed. But as I drifted off to sleep, wrapped in his arms, I dreamed of red eyes and shadows and something terrible coming toward us through the darkness. The next morning, I woke to find Kade already gone. A note on his pillow said he had alpha duties to attend to and would see me at lunch. I got dressed and wandered down to the gardens, needing fresh air and space to think. That's where I found her. An old woman I'd never seen before, sitting on a stone bench, feeding birds from her hand. She looked ancient, her face weathered with wrinkles, her hair white as snow, but her eyes were sharp and clear. Hello, child, she said when she saw me. Hello, I replied cautiously. I don't think we've met. Are you here for the ceremony? In a way, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Sit with me. Something about her voice made it impossible to refuse. I sat. You're troubled, she said, not looking at me. I can see it on you like a shadow. I'm fine, I said automatically. No, you're not. Now she turned to face me. Her eyes were strange, gray like storm clouds. You've seen something, felt something, haven't you? My breath caught. How did you? I know many things, she interrupted. I see what others cannot see, and I see darkness gathering around you and your mate. Fear prickled down my spine. What kind of darkness? The old kind, the kind that was here before the packs, before the kingdoms. She reached out and took my hand. Her skin was cold as ice. Tell me, child, have you heard of the ancient ones? I shook my head. Long ago, before wolves ruled these lands, there were others, creatures of pure darkness and hunger. They fed on fear and pain and death. The first alphas drove them out, banished them to the shadows. But they never truly left. They've been waiting, watching, looking for a way back. That's just a story, I said, but my voice shook. A legend to scare pups. Is it? The old woman squeezed my hand. Then why did you see red eyes in the forest? Why do you feel something watching you even now? I tried to pull my hand away, but her grip was stronger than it should be. They're drawn to strong emotions, she continued. To love and hate and fear. And your love for the alpha, it burns so bright. It calls to them like a beacon. What do they want? I whispered. What they've always wanted. To break the strongest among us. To prove that even the most powerful alpha can fall. To feast on the despair that follows. How do we stop them? The old woman released my hand and stood slowly. You can't. Once they've chosen their target, they don't stop. But you can survive them. If your love is strong enough. If your bond is unbreakable. Who are you? I asked, standing as well. How do you know all this? She smiled sadly. I'm someone who's seen this story play out before. Someone who watched a kingdom fall because the alpha and his mate couldn't withstand what came for them. Before I could ask more, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the garden shadows. I stood there, my heart racing, my mind spinning. Was she crazy? Was it just an old wolf's delusions? Or was she telling the truth? I ran back to the castle to find Kade. He was in his study, reviewing security arrangements for the ceremony with Lucas. Emma, he smiled when he saw me. I thought we were meeting for lunch. I need to talk to you, I said urgently. Alone. Lucas glanced between us, then quietly left. What's wrong? Kade asked, his smile fading. You look terrified. I told him everything. About the old woman, about what she'd said, about the ancient ones and the darkness coming for us. When I finished, Kade was quiet for a long moment. "Emma," he said carefully, "I think you've been under a lot of stress. Everything that's happened, the challenge, Daniel almost losing each other, it would make anyone anxious. You don't believe me. I believe you met an old woman who told you scary stories." He pulled me into his arms. "But the ancient ones, they're myths, legends. Every pack has some version of that story to explain bad things that happen." But the eyes I saw could have been any wolf, could have been a trick of the light. He kissed my forehead. "I love you, and I promise you nothing is going to ruin our ceremony. Nothing is going to hurt us." I wanted to believe him, but the fear in my chest wouldn't go away. That night, I dreamed again. This time, the dreams were worse. I was standing in the ceremony clearing, wearing my white ceremony dress. Kade was beside me, smiling, taking my hands. The moon was full and bright above us. Then it went dark. The sky turned black, the moon disappeared, and from the shadows around the clearing they came. Shapes, forms, things that were wrong, too many limbs, too many eyes, faces that shifted and changed. The ancient ones. They moved toward us slowly, their red eyes glowing in the darkness. Kade tried to fight them. He shifted, attacked, used every ounce of his alpha power. But they were unstoppable. They surrounded us, separated us. I screamed for Kade, but I couldn't reach him. And then I heard his voice, distant and fatting. "Emma, I can't hold on." "No," I screamed. "Kade." The darkness swallowed him whole. I woke up gasping, covered in sweat. Kade was asleep beside me, peaceful and unaware. I sat there in the dark, my heart pounding, tears streaming down my face. It was just a dream. Just a dream. But it felt real, too real. I got out of bed carefully, not wanting to wake Kade, and walked to the window. The moon was still full and bright. The gardens below were peaceful and quiet. Everything looked normal. But as I stood there, I saw movement in the shadows. A figure, watching the castle. My blood went cold. It was too far to see clearly, but I knew it was the same presence I'd felt before. The red eyes. The darkness. It was real. And it was coming. The day of the ceremony arrived. I hadn't slept the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those shapes, heard Kade's voice fatting into nothing. But I couldn't tell him. He was so happy, so excited. And maybe the old woman was wrong. Maybe my dreams were just anxiety. Maybe everything would be fine. Sarah helped me dress in the ceremony gown. It was beautiful, white silk that flowed like water, decorated with silver thread that looked like moonlight. "You're stunning," Sarah breathed. "Kade is going to lose his mind when he sees you." I tried to smile. "Emma, what's wrong?" Sarah asked. "You've been quiet all morning." "Just nervous," I lied. "Don't be. Everything is perfect. The weather is beautiful. The guests have all arrived. And Kade has been packing in his room for the past hour like a lovesick pup." That did make me smile a little. As the sun began to set, it was time. The ceremony would take place under the full moon, in the sacred clearing where alphas had been taking mates for generations. I walked there with Sarah and the other females of the pack, all of us dressed in white. When we entered the clearing, my breath caught. It was magical. Torches lit the space, casting golden light everywhere. Flowers covered every surface, and in the center, under the rising moon, stood Kade. He wore traditional alpha ceremonial clothing, black leather and furs, his dark hair pulled back, his amber eyes shining. When he saw me, his expression changed, softened, filled with so much love it made my chest ache. I walked toward him slowly, trying to focus on his face on this moment. Trying to ignore the shadows at the edge of the clearing. Trying not to see the red eyes watching from the darkness. When I reached him, Kade took my hands in his. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "The most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "So are you," I whispered back. The pack elder, the same one who'd overseen the challenge, stepped forward to begin the ceremony. "We are gathered under the full moon to witness the mating of Alpha Kade and Emma," he announced. "This bond is sacred, chosen by the moon goddess herself. What she has joined, no force on earth can separate." He continued with the ancient words, the blessings, the promises. Kade and I repeated the vows, our voices strong and clear. "I claim you as my mate," Kade said. "In this life and all lives to come, my heart, my soul, my everything belongs to you." "I claim you as my mate," I repeated. "In this life and all lives to come, my heart, my soul, my everything belongs to you." The elder raised his hands. "Under the light of the full moon, I declare this bond complete. You are mated for eternity." The pack howled in celebration. Kade pulled me close and kissed me, deep and passionate and full of promise. For that moment, everything else disappeared. There was only us. Only this. Then the moon went dark. Just like in my dream. The torches flickered and went out. Screams erupted from the crowd. And from the shadows, they came. The ancient ones. Kade pulled me behind him, already shifting to his wolf form. But I knew from my dreams, it wouldn't be enough. Nothing would be enough. The darkness had come for us. And our real battle was just beginning. Chaos erupted in the clearing. The ancient ones moved like smoke and shadow, their forms constantly shifting, never quite solid. They had too many limbs, faces that melted and reformed, eyes that glowed blood red in the darkness. And they screamed. The sound was terrible, like metal scraping against metal, like 1,000 wolves dying all at once. It pierced straight into my soul. Wolves scattered in every direction, some shifting to fight, others running in terror. Kade's massive black wolf stood between me and the creatures, snarling and snapping. Luca's and the other warriors formed a protective circle around us, but I could see the fear in their eyes. How do you fight something that isn't fully real? One of the creatures lunged at Kade. He caught it in his jaws, but his teeth passed through it like mist. The creature reformed behind him and slashed with claws made of shadow, catching Kade's side. He yelped in pain and blood, real blood, poured from the wound. "Kade," I screamed. The creatures could hurt us, but we couldn't hurt them. We were going to die here. All of us. The old woman's words echoed in my head. "You can survive them, if your love is strong enough, if your bond is unbreakable." The bond. That was the answer. "Kade," I called through the pack mind link. "Shift back, I need you in human form." "Are you insane?" His voice came back, strained with pain. "I can't protect you if—" "Trust me," I screamed. "Please." For a moment, he hesitated. Then he shifted back to human form, bleeding and exhausted. I ran to him and grabbed his hands. "What are you doing?" he asked desperately. "The bond," I said quickly. "They're drawn to emotions, to our love, but that's also what can stop them. We have to use it." "I don't understand." "Just trust me." I squeezed his hands tighter. "Feel the bond, focus on it, pour everything you are into it." Around us, the ancient ones were getting closer, circling like predators. Wolves were falling, injured or worse. We were running out of time. Kade looked into my eyes and nodded. We closed our eyes and reached for the bond that connected us. It was there in my chest, glowing like a small flame. But it was weak now, dimmed by fear and pain. I focused on it, fed it with every memory of us together. The first time we met, his smile, his laugh. The way he looked at me like I was the most precious thing in the world. The feeling of safety in his arms. The promise of forever. The flame grew brighter. I felt Kade doing the same, adding his memories, his love. Our first kiss, the moment he realized I was his mate. The terror of almost losing me. The joy of holding me close. The determination to protect me, no matter what. The flame grew hotter, brighter. The bond between us flared to life like the sun itself. Light exploded from our joined hands. Pure, white, brilliant light that pushed back the darkness. The ancient ones screamed, that terrible soul-piercing scream, and recoiled from the brightness. It's working, Sarah shouted from somewhere nearby. Keep going. We poured more into the bond. More love, more hope, more determination. The light grew stronger, spreading outward in waves. Everywhere it touched, the darkness burned away. The ancient ones tried to fight it, tried to push back, but they couldn't. Our bond, our love was too strong. One by one, the creatures began to dissolve, their red eyes fatting, their forms breaking apart like smoke in the wind. No, one of them shrieked with a voice like breaking glass. This was supposed to break you. You were supposed to fall. We'll never fall, Kade said, his voice strong despite his wounds. Not as long as we have each other. The final creature let out one last terrible scream, then vanished completely. The light from our bond slowly faded, but it didn't go out. It settled back into our chests, warm and strong and unbreakable. The moon returned, bright and full above us. The torches reignited on their own. And silence fell over the clearing. For a moment, no one moved. Everyone just stood there, stunned, trying to understand what had just happened. Then Kade collapsed. No, I caught him before he hit the ground. Kade, stay with me. His eyes fluttered open. Did we win? Yes, I sobbed. Yes, we won, but you're hurt. You need a healer. I'm fine, he said, but blood was still pouring from the wound on his side. Just tired. Someone get a healer, I screamed. Now. Lucas and several others rushed over. They carefully lifted Kade and began carrying him back toward the castle. I followed, holding his hand the entire way, refusing to let go. The pack healer met us at the castle entrance. She was an older woman named Margaret who'd been healing wolves for 50 years. She took one look at Kade's wound, and her face went grave. Shadow wounds, she said quietly. Rare, dangerous, they don't heal like normal wounds. But you can fix it, right? I asked desperately. You can save him. I can try, she looked at me seriously. But I need you to leave while I work. You'll just be in the way. No, I said firmly. I'm staying. He's my mate. I'm not leaving him. Margaret looked like she wanted to argue, but Kade squeezed my hand weakly. Let her stay, he murmured. Need her here. Margaret sighed. Fine, but don't interfere. She worked for what felt like hours, cleaning the wound, applying herbs and salves, stitching with special silver thread that she said would help bind the shadow magic. I held Kade's hand the entire time, sending love and strength through our bond. Finally, Margaret stepped back, wiping her brow. That's all I can do, she said. The rest is up to him, and up to your bond. Shadow wounds feed on darkness, on negative emotions. If he stays positive, stays connected to you, he should heal. He will, I said fiercely. I won't let him give up. Margaret nodded and left us alone. I sat beside Kade's bed, holding his hand, watching him sleep. His face was pale, covered in sweat, but he was breathing. He was alive. That's all that mattered. Sarah brought me food and water, but I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything but watch Kade and pray to the moon goddess that he would be okay. As dawn began to break through the window, his eyes finally opened. Emma, he whispered, his voice rough. I'm here, I said immediately, leaning close. I'm right here. The pack. Safe, a few injuries, but nothing serious. You protected us. We all protected each other. He smiled weakly. We did it. We actually survived. We did more than survive, I said. We won, together, just like we always do. He lifted his hand slowly and touched my face. I love you, so much. I don't think I tell you that enough. You tell me every day, I said, tears streaming down my face. And I love you too, more than words can say. Marry me, he said suddenly. I blinked. What? Marry me? Not just the mating ceremony. The human way too. Rings and vows and a celebration. I want everyone to know you're mine in every possible way. I laughed through my tears. We just fought shadow demons and you're thinking about weddings. I'm thinking about forever, he corrected. About making sure every moment we have from now on is perfect. Yes, I said, smiling so wide it hurt. Yes, I'll marry you, 1,000 times yes. He pulled me down for a kiss, gentle and sweet and full of promise. When we pulled apart, he sighed contentedly. Good, now I can rest. You better rest, I said sternly, because if you die after I just said yes, I'll kill you myself. He chuckled, then winced. Don't make me laugh, it hurts. Sorry, I kissed his forehead. Sleep, I'll be here when you wake up. Always. Always. Kade healed slowly over the next few weeks. The shadow wound was stubborn, fighting Margaret's treatments, but it couldn't fight the bond between us. Every day, I sat with him, holding his hand, sending love and light through our connection. And every day, he got a little stronger. The kingdom recovered too. The wolves who'd been injured healed. The fear that had gripped everyone began to fade. Stories of what happened spread across the region. How the Alpha and his mate had defeated the Ancient Ones with nothing but their love. Packs from all over sent messages of congratulations and respect. Even Daniel sent a letter. I heard what happened. I'm glad you're both okay. What you did was incredible. You proved that true love really can conquer anything. I'm happy for you, Emma. Truly, take care of each other. Daniel. I kept the letter, tucked away in a drawer. A reminder of a friend who loved me enough to let me go. On the day Kade was finally cleared by Margaret to leave bed, the entire castle celebrated. He was still weak, still healing, but he was alive and whole in mine. We stood on the castle balcony that evening, watching the sun set over our kingdom, his arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. I've been thinking, Kade said quietly. About what? About that house you mentioned, the small one somewhere quiet. I looked up at him in surprise. You remember that? I remember everything you've ever said to me, he said with a smile. And I think it's a good idea. Not right now, I have duties here as Alpha, but someday, when we've secured the kingdom, when things are peaceful, we'll build that house, have those children. Live that normal, boring, beautiful life you wanted. It won't be boring with you, I said. Probably not, he agreed. But it'll be ours, and that's all that matters. Forever, I whispered. Forever, he repeated. We stood there as the sun disappeared below the horizon, and the moon rose in its place. The same moon that had chosen us, that had bound us together, that had given us the strength to survive. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that whatever came next, whatever challenges or dangers or adventures awaited us, we would face them together. Because our love was stronger than darkness, stronger than fear, stronger than anything the world could throw at us. We had fought for each other, bled for each other, nearly died for each other. And we had won. Not because we were the strongest or the smartest or the most powerful, but because when it mattered most, we chose love. We chose each other. And that choice, that simple, profound, unbreakable choice, made us invincible. The Alpha had seen his mate in another man's arms. The kingdom had paid a price. But in the end, love had conquered all. And our story, our beautiful, chaotic, impossible story, had only just begun. The end. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the world of Alpha, Kade, and Emma. If this story touched your heart, made you feel something deep, or kept you on the edge of your seat, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment from this story. Was it when Kade first saw Emma? When Daniel fought to save them? Or that final battle against the Ancient Ones? I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. And if you want more passionate paranormal romance stories filled with powerful alphas, forbidden love, dangerous challenges, and heartbreaking choices, hit that like button and share this video with someone who loves a good love story as much as you do. Remember, true love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when the whole world is against you. Until next time, keep believing in the power of love. Keep fighting for what matters, and never ever give up on your forever. Subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next story.